of the screen there, and we'll get to those questions as soon as we get through the presentation here, time permitting, of course. Also, we'd like to remind you that we have polling questions going out. Please answer those to the best of your abilities. Those will be going on throughout the conversation. And as well, remember, we will be raffling off a $100 Amex gift card at the end of the program, so stick around for that. Jen and Joe, how are you guys doing today?
Doing well.
Okay, great. Now, with any further ado, we are going to start our presentation here. So, starting out, we have a great set of SolarWinds reseller partners who are familiar with the core SolarWinds products, but you recently added a couple new applications to your portfolio. So, can you give us a sense of how SolarWinds has evolved to bring a deeper set of solutions to customers over the past few years?
Sure. So, you know, as everyone probably knows, we've historically been focused on the network admin. And in the last 2 years specifically, we've really focused on the systems administrator. We have a wonderful product, SolarWinds Server and Application Monitor, and that monitors servers and applications. But that product's been expanded recently to incorporate things like asset inventory, looking at warranty status of your servers. We've also gone a lot deeper into monitoring the SQL database, so you can see things like latches and locks and long-running queries and things of that nature. To our portfolio, we've also added other applications through acquisition for doing things like managing patches on your system, so for third-party applications. We also added another product recently. It's Firewall Security Manager, and that looks across all of your firewall applications and looks at things compliance and how those are configured across your environment. So we're really focused on this space. We're really focused on the sysadmin. In fact, most of our product managers have been sysadmins in prior jobs. So we really understand who the sysadmin is.
That's great. So you guys have a really good grasp on what system administrators are really trying to get accomplished. So that's great. Moving forward now, this expanded set of offerings in the SolarWinds portfolio means more opportunity for our SolarWinds partners. How can SolarWinds resellers who have sold the application and service management products, for instance, find other SolarWinds opportunities in their customer accounts?
So SolarWinds products, we do a lot of integration between our products, so it makes it pretty easy to tell that story. For example, if you've sold Server and Application Monitor, well, one easy question is, are you running those applications in a virtualized environment? And if the answer is yes, then a larger organization, say an organization with greater than 10 servers at least, would be interested in Virtualization Manager, because with that product you can really see the data store information. You can also see things like virtual machine sprawl and do capacity planning and things of that nature. Another tangent is that you can go from there is, once you've isolated a problem to a data store, is there a specific issue on the actual physical storage that data store is leveraging? So you can integrate and know, which one is associated with that particular data store and which applications are on that data store. So you can really see the scope of the entire picture. So that's one example of how our products are integrated and how resellers can sell the more complete portfolio.
That's great. That's great. Okay, now looking at the overall set of SolarWinds solutions, is there one or two product sets that you think are either undersold or particularly hot right now in the marketplace?
I think because our network monitoring heritage, I don't think the awareness is there that we have a great systems administration portfolio, and that's one of the reasons why we're talking to you today. So I think that the server and application monitoring product is undersold. You know, in terms of being hot, a lot since we had this last release, which is 6.0 of server and application monitor, that has been very well received by our customers. They really like the asset inventory feature, and that's great because you don't have to buy another tool for that capability. It's built right into the product, so that helps sysadmins out a lot. Another feature that they really like is the App Insight feature, which is kind of deep monitoring for SQL. So that's another area that's pretty hot right now, especially with databases, and you know, big data is such a you know, big thing right now. People are constantly worried about how they're going to manage their databases and the storage also. So that's a pretty popular area. We sell and we build products that there's known problems for, so we're not going to be necessarily on you know, the cutting edge of, you know, doing fancy analytics or whatever, but we do sell products for problems that are known. So, you know, having your applications and your servers and your databases and your storage up and running and understanding the performance of that's always going to be a need. So that's always going to be hot, I guess.
Yeah, that's definitely a bonus that, you know, it's included instead of having to buy a separate product that, you know, it's all included into one. So that's definitely a benefit there. Okay, Joe, I'm gonna shoot this question over to you. Now, let's bring it back to take a closer look at some of the solutions. SolarWinds was recently selected by IT Pros as the 2013 market leader for APM software over the likes of IBM, CA, and HP. What sets SolarWinds so far above the competition?
Yeah, so you know, I think the thing really where we shine is sort of you know, the ease of the product, right? So it typically is installed in less than an hour. We have a 30-day evaluation that customers can utilize, and that's a fully functional evaluation. They can typically set that up in 30 minutes or so. Most, you know, the products have auto discovery tools. They have wizards in them with just a couple of click-throughs. So really, you know, even from the evaluation process, we make the whole thing easy for them. So we're installing and deploying, and ultimately the customer is going to be able to maintain a product, you know, that's, you know, going to be easy for them for the life cycle of the product. Cost to feature ratio is a big piece as well, and you know, that's on the slide. You know, the thing that we do is the product itself is split up kind of in modules and tiered pricing. So what you're seeing is a bunch of feature sets that are approaching the customer's needs at that point in time. It's also approaching their budget at that point in time based on the size of the organization. So, you know, the cost to feature ratios that we put in the product, they're very robust. A lot of times you're talking about a solution that's going to be a fraction of the cost of one of these other vendors that you mentioned, but the functionality is just as robust, if not more robust in some instances. So the monitoring, you know, that we're getting, the management functionality that we're getting out of the products are very broad and deep, and so we're not going to have a problem with meeting that particular need for the customer. And then I would say and we touched on it earlier, but we have a full portfolio of products. So we're not just approaching a single piece of the IT infrastructure. We're talking network, we're talking application, we're talking data center. We can approach all of the IT infrastructure with our tools, and they can add as they go. So you know, as budget allows, as the needs of the organization that you're working with evolve, we can add different modules into their current deployment to expand that. And what's nice about that, and I think it's a good concept in how we approach the market, is we're not trying to sell necessarily an all-encompassing solution that's going to be, 6 figures or so and take 6 months and a lot of, consultative work to stand up. Again, it deploys very quickly, but what's great about it is because we're approaching a specific need, and targeting that need with a specific feature set, the return on investment for the customer is very apparent and very quick. It's a faster return on investment because we're approaching that specific need with a solution, and then they can always add to it as they add to the feature set as they go. Meaning, like, if they need to approach the network or the data center down the line. And I would say the other piece here that's good to point out is the brand recognition and marketing. Your customers probably know, your accounts probably know who SolarWinds is. A lot of them are probably utilizing the tool for, say, the network, and so we can come back and ask them what they're doing for the server and application side, or the application layer, or the data center. And the other piece here is the free tools. That we have a lot of free tools, which is great brand recognition, and we're covering everybody from a small business on up to Fortune 500. So there shouldn't be anybody that you stumble into that hasn't heard of SolarWinds, which is good for you. It's sort of a household name now.
Yeah, it definitely is. That's great to hear. You guys seem like you have the full spectrum of the IT infrastructure covered there. So we've been talking about system administrators. Let's kind of familiarize our audience with typical tasks that a system administrator faces on a regular basis. Can you explain some of those tasks for us?
Sure. So depending on the size of the organization, that's going to vary with regard to what they're responsible for managing. So a smaller organization, they might be in charge of looking at all the servers, the apps, the web servers, the storage, the virtual infrastructure. They might be, even the network, right? They might be in charge of it all. In a larger organization, those activities may be siloed. So you might have a virtual infrastructure, somebody who's in charge of the virtual infrastructure, somebody who's in charge of the web infrastructure. But the nice thing about it is you can have one infrastructure to manage all those things, so you don't have multiple tools. They're also responsible for troubleshooting performance issues. So when there is a problem that occurs, they have to figure out what to do to fix the problem. So they're involved with actually fixing some of those issues. Other things that they're responsible for are backups, patching, managing the antivirus software, operating and configuring the hardware, so making sure, when a new application is deployed, they deploy the hardware and everything else around that. They're also a lot of times do administrative work, so for Active Directory or Exchange, managing those group policies and things like that, managing the SQL Server and databases. It really just depends on the organization needs and whether they outsource some of those things or not. They're also responsible for purchasing the equipment, the hardware, the software, sometimes the laptops as well, so they're in charge of managing those assets and running reports to see, are they over their license compliance, for example, or are there, inventories, is the hardware warranties out of warranty, basically. So that's, and then they're also on call all the time, so they might have to answer a phone call, in the middle of the night or at dinner. So having tools to respond remotely is also very much a very nice thing to have for, and sometimes a must-have for some of these systems administrators.
Yeah, definitely. There is a large list of tasks that they face on a regular basis. Basically, you know, with such a great portfolio that you guys offer, can you go over some of the items in this portfolio that can aid system administrators in combating some of these tasks?
Sure. So in terms of performance monitoring, we have a great portfolio for that. Server and application monitors the servers, the hardware health, the applications, like over 150 applications to be more specific. We also have a product called Web Performance Monitor that looks at the website health, looks at those transactions from the end user's perspective to understand page load times and is it a JavaScript issue or a CSS issue to really help identify what's going on with the websites and those page load times. In terms of, you know, patching, we have Patch Manager, which plugs into WSUS or System Center Configuration Manager. And what that does is it aids in really bringing those third-party updates into the system so the sysadmin doesn't have to do the packaging, and then they can deploy those automatically on a schedule. In terms of, you know, administration, we have some free tools in our environment for Active Directory administration, but we also have a new capability with Server and Application Monitor for monitoring the SQL, the SQL Server databases. So that aids in the maintenance, so you can find, you know, looking at tables and things like that and looking at space. And so it provides a lot of details in terms of what the sysadmin would have to do in terms of their maintenance tasks, like redoing indexes and things like that.
Perfect.
And then, yeah, so, and I already mentioned the inventory, the asset inventory. So we have a whole, you know, pretty much, you know, any problem in the environment, we have a solution for it.
That's great. Now, now that we have a foundation here, let's kind of shift gears and talk about how to discover SolarWinds opportunities for some of the resellers out there. What questions can a reseller use to discover SolarWinds opportunities, and more importantly, how can they identify the appropriate SolarWinds product for some of the system administrators?
Okay, so it's really a short conversation to identify opportunities. It's really understanding the business requirements for that customer, and that helps you also really understand the ROI and the importance of bringing up some of the solutions. So, you know, if it's a e-commerce site, having, you know, a highly available website is extremely important, and an hour of downtime could cost thousands or, you know, millions of dollars to that customer. So understanding that from that end, their perspective on the importance of keeping their infrastructure up and available is good for you to really talk about the ROI. And then really understanding their role. As I mentioned, sysadmins, they might have a slightly different job description depending on the size of the organization. So just get a little bit familiar with what are they responsible for managing, and that'll also guide you to what products. All of our products are named very well. We don't have silly names like, I don't know, silly made-up names. All of our products are named for the function that they perform. So Server and Application Monitor, guess what that does? It monitors your servers and applications. So you can really easily map if the customer says, I'm responsible for the storage and the virtual infrastructure. Okay, well, virtualization manager and storage manager, those are the products that you would sell them. So it's pretty easy to map products to pains. And then just, another question is just tell me about your environment. How many servers do you have? Are they virtualized? Do you run your applications on those virtual servers? What kind of applications do you have? Are you Microsoft shop? Do you have Linux? Just getting a feel, like do you have industry applications that you need to monitor, custom applications? Just getting an idea of the scope and size of the environment will really help you pinpoint, what their requirements are. And then asking those other questions, how do you manage that? How's that working for you if they're doing it manually, or if they're maybe using a product that's a little bit, or a lot cumbersome to use. So it's those kinds of questions, and it really literally takes 5 minutes to ask those questions, and then you get a really good idea of the scope of the opportunity.
Yeah, you guys, make it very simple. 3 questions in 5 minutes. I mean, I'd like to remind our audience out there, please, jot these questions down. If you can use them when you're trying to close some opportunities, I mean, this is really, really simple questions that can, identify what to use as a solution for your customers. So just want to point that out to our audience members. So now moving forward, I know SolarWinds has several products that complement each other very nicely. Can you go over a couple examples of how you can pitch these, as well as how to upsell complementary products in the pitch?
Sure. So I mentioned previously, if you're selling server and application monitor, for example, for monitoring applications, one question is, hey, are you virtualized? Are you running this application in a virtualized environment? And is the application data intensive? Does it use a lot of storage? If those answers to the questions, if those answers are yes, then 3 products to pitch together are Server and Application Monitor, Virtualization Manager, and Storage Manager. We've had a lot of success in selling these products together, and what it does is, since it's integrated, you can see from the application to the virtual machine to the data store and to the LUN. So you can really see the whole, drill into the picture, the full picture to understand performance issues. And this resonates very well. And this is actually a pretty unique capability in the market. There are some of our competitors who do this for maybe one array or one type of storage, like NetApp or something like that, but not for the full spectrum spanning across 150 applications, multiple hypervisors, and multiple storage vendors. So it's a unique capability that we have. So that's one area that I would suggest pitching. And then another area would be in data center consolidation and asset inventory. So with Server and Application Monitor, you can do asset inventory, you can see warranty status, you can monitor your servers. We also have a product on the network side, Network Configuration Manager, which does something very similar in terms that it looks at the out of support status for your network devices. So these 2 products together can really shine a light on deficiencies in the hardware infrastructure. So that's another way to really understand what's going on in the data center environment. And when there's a lot of M&As going on, so it's a good way to get visibility into the infrastructure and to see where you can do some application and server consolidation there. So that's a couple of examples I've laid out in this table. You can see this table where you can quickly see the relationship between the products for compliance. We have several solutions that deal with compliance. So it's a nice way to talk about a certain subject area and talk about multiple products and how they serve that area.
Yeah, this is really useful information. This table is great. It kind of maps out where you can take the conversation and what to offer once you pick up on some of these discoveries. Now, I just want to remind the audience again, you know, if this information is useful to you, I spoke with Jen before we started the presentation. I'm going to put up Lifeboat's contact information at the end of the presentation, so please email Lifeboat or SolarWinds, and we can get this slideshow sent out to you if you guys think you can use it. So just remember that until the end of the program here. So moving on now, does SolarWinds offer any additional resources to aid in closing opportunities? And can you give us some detail as to what's available to resellers?
Yeah, this is Joe again. I'll take that. So yeah, absolutely we do. We have, from a resources standpoint, I mean, we have a lot of technical resources here, a lot of technical horsepower, if you will. We have channel account managers that are assigned to the regions. So, you know, and again, like I mentioned earlier, we have the 30-day evaluations on the software. So we're going to work with you from you know, an account perspective, and you know, we'll provide the sales engineer, the technical resource, if you will, throughout the whole evaluation process. So you know, that's important to know. The takeaway there is you don't have to be a SolarWinds expert. You just really have to kind of key on the things that Jennifer was talking about earlier, which is, you know, listening for certain things, matching those up with the product, and just getting used to the buzzwords, and then getting us on the phone. Get us on the phone with your customer. If you have a question, you can shoot us an email. You know, we're going to help schedule the demos for you, run those demos for you, and you know, we'll work through the entire evaluation process again, all the way up until we understand what the licensing requirement is going to be, and then we'll provide those SKUs for you, and any special pricing that's available through distribution. So I think the other piece is, you know, from a margin perspective, you know, we'll provide that through distribution on the net new deals that you guys uncover. So we'll research it on our side, and then you know, provide cost that's appropriate from there.
That's great, Joe. Now, how can resellers utilize these resources to kind of close these opportunities?
So, you know, again, we're going to be able to kind of take the reins, so to speak, on the opportunities that you're bringing us, or that you're uncovering out there. So we'll work with the account rep hand in hand on the kind of if they can initially introduce us to the client with the appropriate end user, if you will. We'll kind of work to qualify or requalify the opportunity, make sure we've got the right product set in place, work with them to, you know, determine what other needs they may have. So we've got some cross-sell opportunities with those many times. Like Jennifer was saying earlier, you know, kind of a good play is the server application monitor with virtualization and storage manager. You know, that's kind of going from the application all the way to the LUN. So we'll utilize our technical resources to kind of make sure that we're covering the customer's needs, and then dive deep and see where we can also do some cross-selling. And then, yeah, on this slide right here, again, I kind of touched on the margin and discounts. Any net new deals that we bring, we'll provide additional margin on through special pricing via distribution. And then, you know, if there's any in-flight deals, we'll take a look at that, and you know, again, provide appropriate SKUs and pricing through the distributor. And so through Lifeboat is what I'm trying to say. So the install base, that's a good point here, that, you know, additional modules are always on the kind of agenda for the install base. Customers regularly will add additional licensing. They'll go in and add additional modules. You know, they may be a network performance monitor customer, but they need to get to that application layer. So you know, and that portfolio that we have is ever expanding, which is generating additional revenue streams for you as well. And I think actually that, you know, the big takeaway here is that question, you know, and the fact that we're vendor neutral. We don't really care who the vendor is, you know, Microsoft, their products, VMware. Anytime you're talking about monitoring and management, just ask them how they're going to monitor that, you know, whatever it is, application layer, the data center side of things, you know, virtual infrastructure. How are you monitoring this for performance and availability? I think if everyone can kind of learn to answer or ask that one question, they'll uncover a lot more opportunities.
That's great. Thanks, Joe. So moving on now, let's kind of go over you know, who they can reach out to. As always, Lifeboat is always there for any assistance with any opportunity, as well as especially for SolarWinds opportunities. You guys are always readily available for product interest, potential time frames and such, even demos. So you know, you guys are always available, as well as Lifeboat. So the resellers always have us in their corner, so to speak.
Sure.
So yeah, now let's move on. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna migrate over to our Q&A section of the presentation here. It looks like we have a couple questions that came in. I have a question from Glenn. He's wondering if you do digital asset management, and are you able to track OS versions, patches, and what hardware, software per PC?
Server and application monitor isn't really appropriate for the PC. The patch manager product is, so it does go out and discover what's going on for your Windows servers only. At this point in time, we only do Windows, not servers, Windows endpoints. So you can discover, you know, versions of your OS, the applications, and those can be, you know, third-party applications as well as the Microsoft applications, and then understand what patches need to be applied and then automatically apply those patches. So that product can monitor the endpoints for Microsoft products.
Okay, perfect. I think that pretty much answers that. I'm going to check to see if we have any other questions here. Rich is wondering, how does SolarWinds match up cost-wise versus Altiris in asset control?
I don't really know how much Altiris charges. What I do know is that the feature of Server and Application Monitor, that feature is really available on a node-per-node basis. So if that's all you want to do with that product is do some asset inventory, then it's less than $3,000 to get asset inventory details for 150 servers. If you're wanting to, you know, also monitor the applications and the hardware of those servers, then it's about 10 component monitors per server on average. That's about the rule of thumb. So you could monitor, you know, 10 to 15 servers with the lowest level license, which is an AL150. And that would also give you all the hardware and software asset inventory for those servers.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Jen. Looks like we have one more question we're going to squeeze in. And Dan is wondering, does that approach work with mobile admin? So I believe he was referencing some of the pitches we were going over earlier in the presentation.
Yes. So mobile admin is basically a great add-on to any product that you sell. What mobile admin does is it provides the ability to get alerts, not only from SolarWinds, you know, alert management capabilities, so the monitoring capabilities, not only from SolarWinds, but it also works with Microsoft and some other alert monitoring products as well. The other great thing about Mobile Admin is it works with 40 applications. So say you need to do a change in Active Directory, you need to reset somebody's password. You can do that remotely. So there are about 40 applications where you can access and do things remotely for those applications. So that's a great add-on.
Perfect. All right, so it looks like that's about it for the questions. So now let's see if we can raffle off the gift card. Our lucky winner today is Rich K from MSSC. Congratulations, Rick. You are the lucky winner of a $100 Visa gift card. Rich will follow up with you after the presentation. And now I'd like to thank Jen and Joe for participating today. There's a lot of useful information that we went over. And I'd like to remind everybody that, this is our call to action. And please, if you have any questions regarding SolarWinds, don't forget to contact Lifeboat. Our contact number is up on the screen there for you, as well as visit SolarWinds' website for product information, free trials and tools, demos, solution finder, blogs, resources. And as I said before, we are working on getting this presentation sent out to anybody that's interested in receiving it. So like I said, we'll work on getting that out to you guys as quick as possible. For Lifeboat, I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. Jen and Joe, thanks again. This was a really useful conversation. I'm sure our audience members got a lot to take away from this. And just want to ask you, any closing remarks before we sign off today?
I just want to remind everybody that we do have additional training materials on our partner portal. The one I mentioned about the application to LUN solution, essentially, that's going to be uploaded very shortly. So there's always, we're constantly adding training materials to that partner portal.
Okay, that's great. Joe, anything before we sign off here today?
No, I think that's it. Just keep in mind, ask the question. Get used to asking customers when you're in QBRs, when you're, putting quotes together for them. Just get used to asking them how they're going to be monitoring for performance and availability, and it should bring you a lot more opportunities.
All right, great. Thanks, guys. And from everyone here at Lifeboat, I'd like to thank you again for joining us today. Everyone have a great afternoon.
Thanks.